The Baltic region has seen many political changes over recorded history, so a cruise around the Baltic Sea could offer a quick but hectic glimpse of the area today. Warnemünde means mouth of the Warnow River, and a factory here built planes for the Luftwaffe in the 1930s. Nowadays, as a beachside resort town and German port, it is the starting point for an anti-clockwise circuit of the Baltic coast, stopping at a different port and country each day. The Polish port of Gdansk might be remembered for the Solidarity protests beginning in its shipyards in the 1980s and leading to the first free election in the Communist bloc. The gradual disassembly of much of the Soviet Union followed, and eventually the fall of the Berlin Wall. Settlement was recorded here over 1,000 years ago, and Gdansk has a beautiful old town centre, although you may not always have it all to yourself. Like many other European cities, it was virtually destroyed in World War II and has been rebuilt since. Klaipėda, the only port in Lithuania, also has a beautiful old town centre, but nearby on the Kirion Spit, which separates the Kirion Lagoon from the Baltic Sea, is a World Heritage dune forest. Since its southern end is within a small chunk of Russia left isolated following the collapse of the Soviet Union, the spit is only directly accessible by ferry. The forest is home to over 80 mythical folkloric oak log sculpture creatures on the Hill of Witches, and the lagoon yields amber used to make jewellery. The city centre of Riga, Latvia's national capital, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Daugava River has been a trade route since Viking times, but it seems barely wider than the length of larger cruise ships, and the turnaround demonstrates the convenience of modern bow thrust propellers. The city has a mixture of styles, and Riga Castle is amongst the numerous buildings that reflect its early trading position. Modern trade is brisk and diverse in markets centred on a set of old Zeppelin hangars nearby. On the south side of the Gulf of Finland lies Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and another UNESCO site. A fortress is recorded there around 1050 AD, but most of the time since then, foreign countries, including Denmark and Germany, have been in control. The old city has been beautifully rebuilt since being heavily bombed by Russia in World War II, and then being incorporated into the Soviet Union. It became a free state in 1991. Lina Hall, an enigmatic building from the Soviet era, sits on the seafront awaiting redevelopment. Beyond a Russian naval base at the eastern end of the Baltic is St. Petersburg, set out over a number of islands and a stunning mix of old and new, modern expressways and iconic Russian grandeur. Opulence is the word that describes most of the pre-communist era buildings, churches and palaces now being restored and maintained with pride. "28 Rembrandts were amongst the many artworks purchased by Catherine the Great to decorate the Hermitage or Winter Palace. Pieter Hoff, the Summer Palace, is a half-hour hydrofoil ride away, with gardens containing a fortune of gold in 115 fountains, all supplied by an elaborate system of natural flow. Peter the Great's sense of humour is shown by a series of hidden fountains along an entry road, able to be activated to drench approaching guests. A day west along the northern Baltic coast is Helsinki, the capital of Finland. Records show a town here in the 1500s, when the area was under control of Sweden. After being annexed by Russia in the early 1800s, Finland finally gained independence in 1917. The city is spread over a number of islands, and with nearly 3/4 of the city area being water, icebreakers are ready for colder times of the year. Two modern churches exhibit Scandinavian flair. Kilometres west, an outstandingly scenic final approach leads to Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, a city encompassing 17 islands. Although civilization was evident here about 10,000 years ago, a mini ice age encouraged migration south until around 3,000 years back, when it warmed enough for Vikings to establish a town. The Vasa Museum was built to protect the astounding, largely intact wreck of a 400-year-old warship recovered nearby. Each year, City Hall hosts the banquet for the Nobel Prize Awards, a legacy of over 350 patents held by industrialist Alfred Nobel, best known for stabilising nitroglycerin as dynamite. His childhood house sits across the harbour. The most direct passage from the Baltic to the North Sea runs between Denmark and Sweden, and the nearly 8-kilometre long Øresund Bridge provides a road and rail link between the two countries. About a half-hour train journey north, at the narrowest point of the sea passage, is the Danish Castle Helsinki. This was the inspiration for Elsinore Castle in Shakespeare's Hamlet. Copenhagen has been the capital of Denmark since the early 15th century, although a Viking fishing village existed up to 5 centuries earlier. That's been 10 ports in 10 countries, and hopefully gives a brief modern day glimpse of an area that has been in political flux through the centuries.